Hello and welcome to Texarkana Talk. I'm Lisa Thompson, your host, and today we're pleased to welcome Texarkana, Texas Community Planning and Development Director, David Orr. David, it's nice to have you.
Well, it's great to be here, Lisa, and thanks for having me.
David, you're the director of a department that has a lot of functions and a lot of recent reorganization. Can you give me kind of an overview of what your department does?
Sure. Our department has 8 full-time staff members, and most of which are grant funded. And so we operate in sort of 4 core responsibility areas: downtown revitalization, neighborhood renewal, economic development, and then planning and zoning.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing you mentioned that piqued my interest was downtown revitalization. Tell me what's happening downtown, because everybody gets excited when you talk about downtown Texarkana.
Yeah. Well, I think, right now is a great time for downtown Texarkana. It really is. It's truly the heart and soul of our community. And unfortunately, in the 1990s and 2000s, we had a decline that sort of metaphorically it flatlined. Mm-hmm. And so we're starting to see that heartbeat back in downtown Texarkana. And so with that heartbeat, we've seen substantial investments. Those include Silver Moon. Mm-hmm. We've also had Pecan Point recently open up, Barrage Bikes. And so a lot of activity is going on downtown we're excited about.
It seems like the kind of businesses you want downtown. They get people walking, moving, interacting.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Awesome. Well, a lot of improvements happening there, and I hope it's a trend. Let's talk about another area of the city you've been focusing on, which is our neighborhoods. Now, why is it important for the city to get involved on a neighborhood level?
Well, I think the neighborhood is really where the grassroots efforts really occur. And it's an opportunity for residents of all parts of our city to become involved at a local level, because when something impacts your neighborhood, many times you tend to become engaged. Mm-hmm. And if we can engage people at the local level, at the neighborhood level, then we can engage them at the city level overall as well. And so we have a number of programs we're rolling out with neighborhood association meetings. So it'll be starting up soon in February and March. Okay. And we'll be rolling those out in Highland Park, in Rose Hill, and in Beverly. And so, with that, we have a number of programs for low to moderate income individuals that we run with the city and with the Housing Authority, which is a key partnership in everything we do. As I mentioned, the cleanups are coming up. Our cleanups will be April 18th, Saturday, April 18th. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to spread the word about that and engage our residents to clean up their neighborhoods.
Okay. So you mentioned some specific neighborhoods, but even if I don't live in those places, why should I care about neighborhood development?
Well, I think that's a good point, because a lot of times when you think about neighborhood renewal, you think about our older neighborhoods, and that's commonly associated with those. But neighborhood renewal is really for everyone in Texarkana, and whether it's the opportunity to become involved in a neighborhood watch program, or a neighborhood cleanup, or a tree planting, any of those type of activities have shown time and time again and are proven to increase property values, for instance, mm-hmm. Increase safety and reduce crime, and then also just enhance the overall quality of life for our citizens.
That makes sense. So speaking of property values, economic development also falls under your direction. Tell us what's happening in development.
In economic development, so many times we give vague answers because for confidentiality purposes, we cannot disclose what's may or may not be the next big thing to hit Texarkana.
What can you tell us?
What I can tell you, though, is that we have an excellent economic development director in Jerry Sparks. Mm-hmm. Jerry has worked behind the scenes for decades now in Texarkana to really continue to improve the economic engine of Texarkana. And so we have a number of tools, we call them in our tool chest, that we can use for economic development. Some of those tools include revolving loan funds, both from community block grant funds and also from economic development funds. And right now those are targeted areas in downtown, Rose Hill, and Beverly. And so we're working with business owners and with property owners and residents there to use some of those funds to revitalize our neighborhoods. Also, we have EPA funds that you may have heard about. We have about $1.8 million in EPA funds, and those EPA funds are used for assessment and cleanup of contaminated properties. And so Jerry assists with knocking on doors and really just shaking the bushes in terms of getting people interested in some of those programs. You may have heard about our TERS districts as well, tax increment reinvestment zones. Mm-hmm. And our I-30 zone is particularly a success. And that's due in large part to our board. We have an excellent board of committed citizens that really work diligently to further enhance the tourist district and bring in projects that will pay back over time to the public. And so we've seen some success with that. And it's been an opportunity to build some roads that otherwise would not have been built, such as University, such as the extension on Gibson Lane,
wow,
and some other areas. So we're really excited about the tourist district.
So those are really roads that kind of they're the lifeline of our city. You know, we use University every day in Gibson. So.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Now, you mentioned EPA, and is that the same entity that kind of regulates the oil companies and big business?
It is, and it's commonly associated with the regulatory side of things.
Okay.
But this is actually the economic development side of the EPA in
Okay.
brownfields programs. And so it's not regulatory at all in terms of what we do with our work with the EPA. It's community reinvestment, revitalization, and assessing properties, assisting property owners with those assessments, and then turning around and using low-interest revolving loan funds to remediate issues with the buildings. So that may be asbestos, lead-based paint, a number of different issues with older contaminated buildings.
Okay, so a lot of issues are downtown faces.
Yes,
Got
exactly.
it. Okay, so one issue you've recently taken over is planning and zoning. And a lot of people kind of tune out when we talk about planning and zoning because it's not interesting or whatever. But tell us why it's important to our local government.
You know, I think planning is important because, you know, essentially it's public action that's taken that generates a sustained and widespread private market reaction, or at least that's our hope with planning. And so anytime that we have cases that come before our Planning and Zoning Commission, which, by the way, again, is a dedicated group of citizens that work tirelessly to further better Texarkana. And so they are really sort of our hands on the ground in terms of making sure that when a development comes in, that the site plan is reviewed and it's scrutinized, and we say, what is the best use for this property? Zoning-wise, does it match other zoning classifications in nearby properties? And so what is that best use for that particular piece of property? And they do an excellent job of that. It's sort of a clearinghouse or gateway before the city council. So they approve or deny that and then send it on to the city council. So that's a big part of what planning and zoning does. We also have our comprehensive plan, which we plan to roll out later this year. It'll probably be with our next budget cycle because it'll cost some dollars in terms of so forth. Our new budget, probably in October, November, we look to roll that out. And that's a year to year and a half process with comprehensive planning. And I'm excited because it's a way forward and a future plan for Texarkana and our growth.
Okay. Awesome. I know a lot of people couldn't tackle zoning the way you kind of dive in, but we're lucky to have citizens who are dedicated to making it happen. So that's awesome for Texarkana. David, thank you so much for your time. It's great to have you here and see the city leaders who are making our government work on a daily basis. I'm happy that you guys can get involved and tackle these issues that no one else wants to talk about.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
That's it for today on Texarkana Talk. I'm your host, Lisa Thompson. Stay involved. After all, it's a great day to be in Texarkana.